this, and many people don't realize that. Len worked tirelessly with the American Bookseller Association for many, many years and helped institute and devise some of the programs that we see today. The fact that Books and Books has a website is pretty much because of the efforts of Len. The fact that we're able to sell ebooks is pretty much the efforts of Len. So he is multi-talented. Not only is he become a real force to be reckoned with in the world of literature, but something that many of us knew but didn't quite know really how connected he was to it was that Len was also a member of a rock and roll band in the day, and I'm sure he'll talk about that during his presentation. But this new book told many of us who knew Len, really, we discovered something else, that he really can write. This is a remarkable book. Len has been doing events throughout the country, and he's been tying a lot of these store events in with events at schools. And just to give you a little, I have a few texts from some of the schools that he went to today in Miami, and we already got texts. And that doesn't happen often, to be honest. Usually we'll hear from them, you know, days later where they'll send us a nice card. But here we got from one of the schools that Len participated at today, OMG, with 4 exclamation points. Fabulous. We all loved him. Students were so engaged. Even the teachers were right there in the moment. No one wanted it to end. Here's another one. Amazing presentation. Everything went smoothly, even with the horrible weather we were expecting. And in fact, he used the lightning to work it and worked it into his presentation. The kids were totally engaged with Len, and we are anticipating his next book. You can tell that to your publisher as well. Maybe you can use that as some bargaining power. What an awesome person. What an awesome presentation. The kids are looking forward to the next book and hope he will visit again. And this is what I love. The final little blurb or text I got was, great way for our seniors to end their school year, which is really great. This book, Scar Boys, which is the new book, has been selected by Reagan High School to be a book that all seniors have to read when they come in to their senior class. So it's making quite the mark. I'm not going to tell you much about it. I'm going to let Len do that. But I'll just leave you with a quote from REM, and a book about music, having a quote from REM. You can't imagine anything better. And Peter Buck says, this book is compelling. It not only captures the feeling of what it is like to form a band, but also the reasons why you form a band. It took me back to that time of being in a van on my very first tour. I recommend this to everyone. And I welcome Len Vlahos to Books and Books. Please welcome him too.
We're going to slow down a bit and do a nice slow tone that you can slow dance to.
Quickly, I just would like to thank Wolf and Cookies. You have a really neat record out. I can't plug anything for it. I would buy it, even though it isn't a free copy. And the great band. I'd like to thank you guys for coming down.
Thanks for having us. Great to be on that show.
It's early
Night, grab a girl and dance
taxis wait
to wait.
blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry.
But the dawn is breaking. It's early. The taxi's wait. He's blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry.
I hate the dark.
Hi, everybody. I'm Len. That was me when I was 19 years old, and I was the guitar player and principal songwriter in a punk pop band called Woofing Cookies. Don't worry if you've never heard of us. You wouldn't have. Your parents probably didn't either. We didn't leave a lot of any kind of mark on the world, really. What mark we did leave was more of a skid mark, and that was entirely in the 1980s, which to me is the last innocent decade in America. This is before there was a World Wide Web. Not only were there no smartphones, there were no cell phones. Even cable TV, as you will see a little bit later, was still something of a novelty in the early 80s. It was easy for a band like us to be shocking and controversial. Now, let's test everyone's 80s IQ. So some of these are easy. On the lower left there, and right above that, Thriller. Above that, Cosby Show, right, who was known for wearing those crazy sweaters. I ask high school students, they usually get cassette tape right, but sometimes they say VHS tape. You all know Pac-Man and MTV. Who's up in the middle? Alf. Okay, now, who knows what hair band that is? Who said Poison? Raise your hand. I respect you less because you're correct. And then the extra credit, hopefully. Geraldine Ferraro. Every single high school I present says Princess Diana. And when I say no, then they say Hillary Clinton. So it is in fact Geraldine Ferraro. Anyway, like I said, it was easy to be shocking and controversial. And there was something happening in music that got started in the very early 80s that was thought to be shocking and controversial at that time, called hardcore punk. I grabbed this very short clip from YouTube. So that was not my band. And in fact, when we did Leaving on a Jet Plane and did that fast, obnoxious part at the end, we were both poking fun at Leaving on a Jet Plane and kind of poking fun at hardcore punk at the same time. It's not that we didn't get anger and rebellion. We did. We were rebellious kids. My 5th grade teacher told my parents I was the only Greek he'd ever met with an Irish temper. So I get anger and rebellion. But if you have to be angry and rebel, at least do it with some rhythm and melody. Now, who can tell me why what I just said about rebellion is so incredibly wrong?
Because the whole point about rebellion is not believing that there is a set good melody and a good rhythm to follow.
You can't tell someone how to rebel. That's completely antithetical to the idea of rebelling. Rebelling is about rebelling against whatever you're rebelling against. You can't tell someone how to rebel. So yes, I mean and in fact, those kids were making hardcore punk sound like it did because they needed their music to be so abhorrent to their parents could never understand it. That was the point. So I respected it for that. I just didn't listen to it. But wait. What does any of this have to do with the Scar Boys? Raise your hand if you've read the book. I know a few people here have. Okay, so you know the answer to that question is everything. The Scar Boys starts with this. It is instructions for writing your college application essay. And the book is the main character doing just that. He's writing his college application essay. And I thought to set up the rest of this presentation and our conversation and the book, I would go ahead and just read these first 2 pages. They're really brief because it kind of sets the stage. So this is the main character in answer to this. January 21st, 1987. The University of Scranton, Office of Undergraduate Admissions, Scranton, PA. Dear admissions professional, thank you for giving me the opportunity to become a matriculating student at the University of Scranton. I have had many interesting experiences in my life. I will represent the school well. I work hard and am a quick study. I have a wide variety of interests, and I'm dedicated to... Wait. 250 words? Are you kidding? It can't be done. Whoops, just wasted 4 words, 5 if you count the contraction, telling you it can't be done. Another 17 words talking about telling you it can't be done. Another 12, never mind, this could go on forever. Here's the short version of what you need to know. I'm ugly and shy and my face, head, and neck are covered with hideous scars. 15 words. Here's the slightly longer version. I'm ugly and shy. No, it's okay. And my face, head, and neck are covered with hideous scars. I was almost struck by lightning. I wish I had been struck by lightning. I was a methadone addict before the age of 10. It's my fault that my best friend almost got killed. I played guitar in the greatest punk rock band you've never heard of, and that was all before my 19th birthday, which isn't for another 5 months. 76 words. But the most important thing to know about me, what you really need to grok in order to understand what kind of student you'll be getting, is that I, Harbinger Robert Francis Jones, am a coward. I just counted, and coward was word number 248, and that doesn't even include the date or your address, so I should stop. But I can't believe you know me any better yet, and that was your goal, right? So with your permission, strike that, with or without your permission, I'm going to exceed that word count just a little. Okay, maybe a lot. And this is the story of Harbinger Jones, or Harry to his friends, who, when he's 8 years old, is tied to a tree during a thunderstorm. The tree is struck by lightning, it catches fire, and Harry is burned and scarred, severely scarred. But he's not just scarred on the outside, he's scarred on the inside. His best friend until he's 13 is his therapist, Dr. Kenny, and they spend hours and hours trying to help Harry be less afraid of the world. Then when he gets to middle school, something magical happens. If you've read the book, what's the magical thing? He makes a friend, Johnny. Good-looking, popular, doesn't even seem to notice Harry's scars. But that's not the magical thing. Harry meets a girl, Cheyenne. Their relationship or lack of it drives the story forward, but that's not the magical thing. The magical thing is that Harry and his friends discover music, and music becomes the very lifeblood of Harry's existence. In a lot of ways, the Scarboys is a love letter to music, and the band he and his friends start is called the Scarboys. In spite of the name and current trends, there are no vampires. There is no dystopian future. Quick, what movie is that? Planet of the Apes. Very good. Very good. It's just the story of a messed up kid and his guitar. Now, I will ask here, raise your hand if you play a musical instrument and or sing. Keep it up if it... Tom Gilligan, take your hand down. Keep it up if it's guitar and or voice. All right, well, maybe we'll coax one of you guys up here to play later if you feel so inclined. So you can all stress about that while I go on. So a lot of the musical background in the book is informed by my own experiences playing in a band, and I thought I would share some of that with you. So I got my first guitar when I was 13 years old. It was a present from my parents for my birthday, and to this day, my father regrets it. Lenny, I should have bought you a damn computer, because the second I had that guitar in my hand, I could not put it down. The more I played, the more I needed to play. I got a job delivering something they used to have called penny savers. These were, if you're younger, these were like little newspapers full of coupons that they paid kids to deliver to your door. I saved my money and I bought my first electric guitar, a black Fender Stratocaster with a little nick on the body because I got it cheaper. That's the day I brought it home from the music store. I am wearing a Boy Scout uniform. I am not wearing it to be ironic. The Boy Scouts actually kicked me out a few weeks after this, not because they have anything against guitar playing. I was literally the worst scout in the history of scouting. I was pretty bad. So I played with friends when I was 13, 14, and 15 in garages and basements, and we cut our musical teeth on songs from the Beatles and the Rolling Stones because we all had older siblings, and we inherited their record collections. So that I got my brother and sister's records, and I was schooled in what's known as classic rock. And then in 1980, two things happened. First, John Lennon was shot. And to me, as a little Beatlemaniac, this had a huge impact. I went to his vigil in Central Park. I lived in suburban New York. It had a really big impact. The second thing is it impacted me in a way I didn't expect. It was kind of like a veil was lifted. Because when you were growing up in the late 70s and early 80s, all you heard from people a little bit older than you was how great the 1960s were. It was the best music. They protested the government. They stopped the war. And what you, 1980, 15-year-old, pat on the head, what you're doing, it's really nice, but who cares? Well, who wants to hear that, right? It really, nobody wants to. And in fact, to us, a lot of those same people had sold out. You become what we called yuppies. Anybody remember what that's shorthand for? Either young urban or young upwardly mobile professionals. Yes. The Who, in my mind, the godfathers of punk, summed it up nicely with this. And I'm not here to tell you, nor is Harry going to tell you in the book, that the 1980s was a great decade. It was not. It was interesting, ridiculous almost from start to finish, not great. The point is that people coming of age now, it's their time. It's your guys' time to make culture. It's your turn to influence what's going to happen. You will be informed by what came before or not. That's up to you. It's kind of like the point about rebellion earlier. The second thing that happened in 1980 is I met these guys, which isn't exactly true. I met Chad in nursery school, and that's a circa 1984 selfie, right? That's how you did a selfie back in the day, is you got a big clunky camera and you found a mirror. So we met Scott in the first grade, and we met Joe in high school. And we started listening to a whole different kind of music. Bands like the Ramones and the Clash and Elvis Costello, punk and new wave. And we decided to start a band in that same vein. Unfortunately, like most bands, when we started, we were bad. Colossally bad. So this is from a cable access television show in 1982. It looks like an early Spinal Tap clip, but this is not manufactured. This is real. And if we had known how bad we were, we would have burned our instruments and never played again. But when you're 15 and you can put 3 chords together in an organized way, to your own ears, you are the Beatles. So we needed a name for the band that was worse than the music, and Woofing Cookies was born. We played throughout high school, getting gigs in and around New York City at places like CBGB's and the Bitter End. And then 2 of us, Chad, the drummer, and I, went off to college. And that was it. The band broke up. We went to NYU Film School. But the siren song of music is powerful. And at the end of our freshman year, we got back together at CBGB's and did a little reunion gig. And it just clicked for some reason at that point, and we started playing more and more. And something had happened between that earliest incarnation of Woofing Cookies and that later incarnation, is that we were reborn as actually something halfway decent. And check out the great 80s special effects in this video. So in short order, Chad and I dropped out of college, we put out our own record, and we booked a tour, 30 dates coast to coast. We were on our way. That leaving on a jet plane was the night before we left on that tour. The problem is we were on our way in that. It was a 1976 Ford Econoline van with a bad engine. Through an engine rod in South Carolina, we took all the money we had left and had it towed to our next gig in Athens, Georgia. And there we stayed and canceled the rest of the tour. We wound up living there for 4 months. Athens happened to be a really good place to break down if you were an indie alternative band in the mid-'80s, because there was a big music scene. It's not a total coincidence that Peter Buck blurbed the book. I haven't talked to him in 30 years, but at that time, he actually produced a song for us, that song you just heard. which actually got us signed to a small record label in New York to do an album. And we knew we needed a name for the album that was dumber than the name of the band. And the only thing we could think to do was each pick a word at random and string them together. So Wolf and Cookie's only full-length LP was called Horse Gum Tortilla Shoes. Guess which word was mine? Everyone says tortilla. Literally, to a person, everyone guesses tortilla. It was shoes. Horse Gum Tortilla Shoes. So anyway, my time with Wolf and Cookies was hugely transformative, and especially that trip in that van that broke down. And I've always written, and I knew really starting since the 10th grade, I've written creatively for pleasure. And I knew I wanted to do something with that material. So when the band broke up a couple of years after that, I sat down and I wrote 90 or 100 pages of notes on everything I could remember. And over time, I tried to do all sorts of things with it. Essays and short stories and screenplays, and none of it was any good because it all came out as a memoir. And really, who cares about the Wolf and Cookie story? Even I didn't care. Because what happened to me, I realized, was something more universal. It was about the power of music, about how music can give any kid confidence, happiness, friends, and even save a life. And that's what the Scar Boys is. The sort of the spine of the action is a bunch of teenagers touring in a dysfunctional van. But the story is for Harry Jones and his friends. This is Harry's journey from complete outcast pariah to guitar hero and how he gets there from who he is. I will give you a brief lesson in copyright. And so I was meeting with some of these nice folks from University of Miami earlier, and they mentioned that they enjoyed the chapter heads, right? So every chapter head in the book is a song title. So the first chapter, where Harry gets tied to the tree during the thunderstorm, the chapter head is Thunder Road, old Bruce Springsteen song. It didn't start out that way. In the manuscript that I sold, every chapter head was a snippet of lyric. So it was actually Thunderbolts and Lightning, Very, Very Frightening from the Queen song. But it turns out US copyright law says you cannot use a snippet of a lyric or a poem in a work of commercial fiction without permission, which blew my mind because I thought it would be like sampling, right? Like people can sample music. Why can't you sample a lyric? And I tried to clear permissions, but music publishers didn't write me back. So I said, you know what? I'm going to publish it with a snippet of lyrics. I get sued. It'll be great publicity for the book. My publisher said no. Right. So we decided together to do song titles. You cannot copyright a song title or a book title. It's why you can have a song called God Save the Queen, honoring the British monarch, and a song by the Sex Pistols denigrating that very same monarch by the very same name. Raise your hand if you've heard of the Sex Pistols. Okay, good. Good punk IQ here, too. So there are 3 places in the book where Harry writes out lyrics for Scar Boys songs. And I thought to wrap up, and there's going to be just a couple more things after this, but rather than read you more of the book, I thought I would play you one of the songs. And especially since I know a couple of you have read the book already, it's a chance to hear what the song sounds like to Harry. So let me just see if I'm actually still roughly in tune. Close enough for this. So this is near the end of the book, no spoilers. And if you do have the book and you're looking along, it's on page 233. Only if you've read it, though, because you don't want to read ahead. And there's going to be an extra verse thrown in here. I will read you just the 3 paragraphs. They're very short that lead into this, and then sing the song. So the context is Harry and Johnny have just had a big emotional conversation. They're all talked out, and Harry sees a guitar. They're in Johnny's room. He sees a guitar across the room. And this is Harry narrating, still in his college essay. I took the guitar more as a defense against further angst than anything else, sat down cross-legged on the floor, and started strumming and picking random notes. The guitar felt heavy in my hands, but not like a weight. It was like an anchor, rooting me safely to the spot. It was like morphine, replacing so much pain with so much euphoria. People would come and people would go, I realized then, but music would be there until the end of time. Note to self, never question Dr. Kenny again. The guy is almost always right. I let that thought about music wash over me as I started to absent-mindedly strum the chords of a song Johnny and I had been working on before we left to go on tour. A to A7. A to A7. I was playing soft but with a quick tempo. I let the simple chord progression drone on, the sound of it filling Johnny's room with a joy that only an acoustic guitar can bring. I was just about to shift to the chords in the bridge when Johnny surprised me and started to sing along. You give a little and take a lot, and distant guns are echoing shots. You never find the time to stop, just keep reaching for the top. You think you're walking a thin line, but you're not able to see what's at stake. Innocence is just a game, and a joke is a joke of any name, and all the streets are there, the stains of all the people you've ever named. My own sophomore grasp for fame. I must have known you were a fake. You had your chance to do your time, rectify your useless crimes, but don't worry, no one noticed. Everything just started to spin. Someone had better notify your next of kin that you might not make it. You had your chance to do your time, rectify your useless crimes, but don't worry, so, thank you. Thank you. So, those of you who read the book, you saw I snuck an extra verse in there. That's what the song sounded like to Harry. If you read the book, I want to know what you think, good, bad, or indifferent. And I really mean that. And that's how to find me. That's sort of where I am. I also, to help you think fondly of this evening, I'm giving away an electric guitar. Not tonight. Not tonight. But over the course of the whole book tour, which is going to end, I'll probably draw it around May 6th. I'll draw the winner. Do you remember I put musical notes on the screen earlier? So if you can figure out what tune that is, you can then go to my website and enter the contest, and you'll be entered to win a drawing for the guitar. No purchase necessary. Do you guys want to see those notes again? Yes, sure. Okay, everybody ready? Yes. Okay. Psych. So, do it again. No. Go to the website. If you type in, there's no link on the website. It's only for. I'm only doing this for people coming to the events. You have to type in /contest to find it. But the notes are there, and you can see them there. And I'm not giving away just one. I'm actually going to give away 2 guitars. And for every entry I get, correct or not, I'm giving $5 to a nonprofit called Libraries for All. They're building digital libraries in communities where people have no access to books. They just did their pilot last November in Haiti. And it was a high school, actually, of the children of the high school, many of them were former slaves. And those kids, the school had no money, and they had never read books in Creole, their native language. And now, because of these guys, they are. It's a really, really awesome program. You can check them out online. All you have to do is enter the contest, and I'm going to give them money. So I'm trying to use this as an opportunity to call some awareness to them and raise some money. Lastly, I do have, importantly for the moment, a YouTube channel. So when I do this event, especially at high schools, I do invite other people to come up and play. And if they let me take a video, and I'll load it up to the YouTube channel. And there's a little collection of videos there. There's going to be a much better collection after today, because there was some incredible talent at the high schools, in particular Ronald Reagan High School, but all the high schools. And then also, I will do, in fact, here, we're going to put all you guys on Instagram right now. Would anybody like to come up and play? This is a zero pressure zone, and I mean that. I'm not gonna call on anybody. So, oh, look at that. Okay. My U of M friends. Okay, that's the one. We're going to put that on Instagram in a minute. So, would anybody like to come up and play? Oh, if you come up and play, I forgot to tell you. I'll probably give you one anyway, but I'll definitely give you this incredibly cool Scarboys guitar pick.
The pressure's on for sure.
We don't have this for the live stream. There was a video I can show of a student playing. Is that okay to do that? So just to give you guys a sense, and I won't show the whole thing, but this was a school outside of Chicago. This young lady came to school this morning and had no idea that I was going to ask people to do this, and was just brave and came up and just played this Bright Eyes song. This artist called Bright Eyes, the song called Lua. Anyway. So, she's awesome. But I'm going to leave that at that. And if no one would like to come up, I'm happy to answer questions. Or if not, we can sign some books too. So, I'm not answering any questions from you, sir. Anybody else?
Do you sing or just play?
You can just play. You want to come up and just play? You don't have to sing.
I don't play at all.
No. See, the whole point of the book is about music and the power and passion for and of music. And it's really great to see that in someone else's voice or fingers than mine. But again, it's a pressure-free zone. She wants to play or sing?
More like a pressure zone. There's an audience, so there's
I know. It's really hard once you get up here.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's totally okay if you don't. In bookstores, I would say 1 out of 5 somebody comes up. In high schools, we always get them. We always get them. Does anybody have any questions about the book? Any questions I can answer?
I haven't read the book. I read your bio online,
Yes.
and that's why I came today. And I brought one of my students is here today, but that's reluctantly not going up to play guitar.
She's afraid. She's scared.
My question is the whole book basically the essay? So the college essay, the whole book?
The whole book is he's talking to someone he calls the faceless admissions professional throughout the book. So yeah, he's telling his life story in the guise of a college essay. Well, I find I love books written in the first person. For some reason, when I write in the first person, there has to be a reason for it. The narrator has to be purposefully talking to someone. I don't know why I can't get around that, but I can't. So it's okay. You really don't have to. But would you like to? You know what? I'm gonna give you a pick anyway.
She wants to, but she's scared.
I don't know what to.
I will tell you this: that all these people, everyone here would be rooting for you.
Yeah, for sure.
You pretty much couldn't disappoint. So, you know what? We're gonna take you off the hot seat. You can come up after we're done. You can come up and play the guitar just for fun.
Okay, now.
Guys, thank you very much for coming. I'm happy to sign books for somebody who wants them. So, thank you very much, and thank you on the live stream too. So.
Thank you, Glenn. Let's give him another big round of applause. And those of you on the live stream, if you want to call in the number that's on the screen, we'll be more than happy to have Len sign a copy of a book for you, and we'll send it out with free shipping anywhere in the United States. If you're in India or somewhere else, the shipping, unfortunately, is not on us. But
there is one more thing I do need to say, is I spent most of my professional career, Mitchell alluded to it, working for an organization called the American Booksellers Association, and that's how I met Mitchell. And ABA is a group that represents stores like this. Not every community has this. The ones that do are incredibly lucky. And the ones that have this are incredibly lucky. So I want to thank Mitchell not just for having me here, but for being here. So thank you.